I feel okay. There's definitely, been some down moments, but I've accepted it. Accepted that it's happened again, unfortunately. I got good teammates around here, good family, good support system, so they've been helping me, try to stay positive, get my mind off of it. But I'm not gonna, stand here and say everything's all right, because there's been some down times, but I'm fighting through it.
Did you know right away when it happened?
No.
Because it happened months before. You're familiar with it.
No, I jogged off the field. Trainers did the test. It checked out like they said it wasn't torn. So it was just a partial tear. So all the tests would check out. The MRI revealed the partial tear. So it was a big shock to me, but what are you gonna do?
Did it tear in a different place?
I'm not too sure. They just told me it was partially torn and I needed surgery again, and they treat the partial tears just like normal tears. So.
Dr. James Andrews, obviously before the surgery, is a very well-known. You probably known about him for years, just from hearing on TV with the professional athletes. What was that like, just the experience with him and having someone who was, well respected in that field?
Yeah, it was definitely, very surreal going down there to his Andrews institution with my parents and one of our trainers here down in Pensacola. It wasn't a vacation by any means, though. I was in bed 15 hours a day probably after surgery. But it was awesome meeting with him. He's actually been calling my parents, checking in, see how we've been doing. It was cool. Growing up, you see his name, on the little ticker on ESPN. And then to actually meet a guy like that, it's pretty sweet.
What did he say following the surgery in terms of your recovery and rehab?
He said it's any minimum 6 months, maximum usually 12. So anywhere from in there. Obviously, you see guys like Adrian Peterson, who he performed on, came back in 6 months.
Right.
So he said, it can be done, but you never want to push it. You never want to push the knee. You want to make sure you got it 100% healthy, because you don't want anything to happen, kind of like what happened to me.
What's your thoughts? Just definitely, I heard you were working out the day of surgery.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you definitely want to come back and play football.
Yeah, that's always my goal, is to come back and play football. Especially for this team, my brothers out here. I want to just get back out there. It sucks watching them practice. So if I can go this year, I'm going to go this year. But if I can't, I'm not gonna be sad about it. I've accepted the fact that this is it's a very gruesome injury. It takes time to heal, especially with a player like myself, where I do cut a lot, do jump a lot, do all the movements that you need the strong ACL for. I'm not putting a date on anything or anything like that, but I guess we'll just see where I'm at.
How does that compare to last year? How you approach things? Last year probably a little more tentative than this year, or what?
Yeah, last year a lot more tentative. I did get surgery a month later too, so that definitely plays into everything. Last year my mindset was I don't want to burn a year for half a year, and this year my mindset's just sort of I just want to be out there, but I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to rush it by any means, because you don't want something like this to affect you the rest of your career.
What was your are you already giving emotional support to Dre?
Yeah, man. When I found that out, I hurt more for him than I did for myself. It's tough, extremely tough, especially for him. He's never even been on the field yet, but he's tough. He's a tough guy. I just told him, stuff like this happens. We just got to push through it. We just got to fight. There's a light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. I don't know where, we don't know when, but it's there. So I'm going to push him. He's going to push me. It's good to have him, back pushing each other.
Who's been important to you in this whole thing? Who's been helpful to you?
Definitely, my parents.
Sure.
My mom, she actually, when I got hurt, she stayed down here for 1 week, and then she was with me a week in Florida, and then stayed for a half a week when I got back from Florida. So she's been there, by my side the whole time, getting me dinners, driving me to and from class, calling me at night when she's not here, just making sure I'm doing okay. And not always talking about my knee, just talking about other things like school, my friends, how everything else is going, trying not to keep my mind on this and keep it on other things.
You were obviously excited when Levy got hired, and so it's probably factored in some of your disappointment. Does that help in your motivation to try to play for him as soon as you can, or are you just trying not to even go there?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you get, a guy like Coach Lovie Smith as your coach, you're going to want to play for him, and he brought in an incredible staff. We all love the new coaches, so I definitely want to get out there and play for those guys as soon as I can. But again, you know, I gotta think, you know, long term. I don't wanna rush things back too quick. So
Does the mental part get better each day?
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know, from when it happened, the initial shock of everything to now, I definitely will say, you know, I'm light years from where I was. But there are still those down times, you know, when you're just sitting in bed at night, you know, thinking about everything else going on in your life. You think about the knee, you know, it's horrible at times, but you know, it'll get better. It got better last time, so just time. That's what it needs.